Good evening, I'm gay. Boom shakalaka laka boom shakalaka laka boom shakalaka laka boom.
Yeah.
Boom shakalaka laka boom shakalaka laka boom shakalaka laka boom.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Boom shakalaka laka boom shakalaka laka boom shakalaka laka boom.
I'm sorry, I want to kill myself.
All right. Hi guys. Welcome back to a podcast Orange. End of 2020, final episode of the year.
And as you heard from the beginning, we're gay. No, we're not
gay.
Now. Jack might be, but I'm not.
We're just appropriating gay culture.
Yeah, kind of. What we're doing is a little fucked up. Sorry, gay guys.
If you're straight and you suck dick, you're appropriating gay culture.
Exactly. Even if you were forced to, like, it's kind of like, dude. You should have thought about that before you let that guy put a gun to your head and make you suck his dick.
I think men that get raped in prison should be canceled.
Yeah, I mean, they're appropriating gay culture.
I'm gonna bring my
It's not the getting raped part, because that's not gay culture. It's specifically the gay sex part. Like, come on, you should have thought about that.
It's
like,
sucking dick, because you can't rape a guy with your penis. You can't, like, rape somebody.
I think you almost just said you can't rape a guy with your penis. It's like, I'm pretty sure you can rape.
How else would you rape them?
Yeah, what would you use? Like, maybe a bottle?
Yeah, some sort of object to shove in their asshole.
Yeah, something long and hard.
But I mean, if you're, I want to bring a gay friend to visit a jail cell one day and be like, you see all these guys sucking dick, they're stealing what is yours. You know,
and just see if he's like, Jack, what you're doing is kind of fucked up.
So many different levels.
You're like, I'm sorry for trying to involve you in this bit. Like, you're my friend. I shouldn't.
Yeah. They're like, I don't even listen to the podcast. So I don't know what
it's
you're
like,
about.
I was gonna give it a try, but now I don't know if I even want to be friends with you anymore, Jack.
So back on track though. This is the end of the year.
Basically, there's like. How many days left? I don't even know.
It's the 27th.
It's like 4 days.
4 days left.
Yeah, 4 days left in the year. 4 days left in 2020. The greatest year since 2009.
Tell you what, though, it's the next time we're going to... What is that called when the number repeats? Because, like, 1919, 1818... There's got to be a name for that shit, right? There's got to be a fucking name. I don't know,
the kind of gay year that happens
sometimes.
It's a gay year.
Then the next gay...
Sometimes there's kind of a gay year where it's like two numbers back to back.
Like, the 20s are 69 in each other. Yeah. I mean, that won't happen until 21 if we live that long. So who the fuck knows?
I mean, we probably won't, so...
This might be the only time... This might be the only time in our lifetime you ever get to see that shit.
I think the best one we had, though, is when it was like... It was like, when, in 2010 when it was like October 10th.
Yes.
It was like 10. Like, it was so fun writing the date that day. It was
10. Well, also, this year, for a whole month, there was 420.
Oh, yeah, 420, but that got totally ruined. Like, that was early pandemic. Like, that was literally like of all the things that the pandemic, like, of all the lives that it took, of all the, like, infrastructure that collapsed and the economic destruction, I think the worst thing that happened because of the pandemic is just that 420 got ruined.
It ruined the best 420 of our lives.
It literally ruined the only 420 that would ever be 42020.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do about that. I could quite literally live with millions of people dying worldwide, but I can't live with that.
No, then you're just fucking with our fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's too much. How am I supposed to go to sleep at night?
Well, we talk about, like, COVID, with all the bullshit. It's also ruined, like, it's a cock block. There's the unexpected, dude, it's such a cock block.
I did manage to have sex this year, but I didn't have sex with anyone new this year. Yeah. So, like, if you didn't have someone already down, chances are you weren't getting some new, like, you have to literally have been, like, the ultimate womanizer to, like, get a new pussy on your dick this year. Like,
your dick had to have been made of magic if you were able to fuck.
Or just money. Or your semen is made of, like, coins.
So you just come out liquid gold. Yeah. Your mouth, like the Midas touch of your fucking cock.
Exactly.
It
was just really hard because even if you talk to a girl, like, or you get to know somebody on a dating app. It's just like, all right, well, like, would you ever want to hang out? It's like, well, no. It's maybe when it's safe, and then it's just like,
who the fuck knows when that's
great. Okay, do you want to, like, video chat? it's like, yeah, sure. And then it's kind of weird. You're just kind of like jerking off in front of your phone.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh, yeah, that's hot. But then I'm like, do you really think that, though? Like, are you just saying that?
Just acting.
Why do you even want to do this? Like, I can get something out of this, but what are you getting out of this? You
know, also, it's like online, like, dating over Zoom. Because, like, I know people who have done that from the pandemic. And it's like the whole point of dating is that you want to have sex. There's a possibility, like, dating is fun because you get to know somebody, but there's also the possibility that, like, at the end of the night, I might be inside of you. And so, like, that...
I mean, I don't know if most people view it in that serial killer kind of lens, but...
That's my way of being romantic.
See, every time I go on a date, I'm like, this is really fun, and you're a great person, but really what's exciting is that later, I might be inside of you.
You should say that next time.
You sound like Joel Rifkin or something.
You should say that next time you're on a date. Like, how about I be inside of you?
Yeah, it's just later? Like, what's really exciting about this? The fact that, like, whether you like it or not, I'm going to be inside of you. She's like, wait, whether I like it or not? I was like, oh, no, scratch that part. I didn't say that.
It's going to happen. But I mean, like, there's the possibility you could have sex.
Well, no, I get what you mean. The idea, it's a mating ritual. Like, yeah, everyone wants a girlfriend because it's like, I want to spend my life with someone who I like and da-da-da. Yeah, but really, like, we're also doing a very intricate, elongated mating ritual. That's what it is. Like, it's no different than birds, like, flaunting their really colorful feathers at each other. And just like, like literally that's what they're doing. They're just like, hey, fuck me. Like, I have these really crazy feathers. Your kid could have these feathers if you fuck me. And the females kind of got to be like, all right, well, I mean, they're pretty nice.
Yeah.
And then you fuck based on that. But with human society, because of the way we communicate and everything, it's more complicated. Like, you have to do all this, like, hula hoop jumping and just crazy shit. But really the goal is still procreation, weirdly.
I think birds and maybe other animals, birds, I think, date. I think what happens was a man sees a woman and they're like, let's go fly around. You want to go on a flight? And then they're like, hey, so this is where I normally take a shit on this wire.
Yeah, it's like, yo, you don't understand. Like, I've been chilling up here, like these cars driving under. I've been fucking them up for years, man.
And the female bird's like, so what do you want to do? And he's like, I'm just exploring my options. That's what the male bird.
She's like, what's your goal with this? And he's like, to pass my genes on.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just keeping my doors open right now. And like, but eventually, yeah, like other animals, they don't just like. You're not gonna see lions like eating a warthog over a fucking table, and you know. Like...
Actually, lions do have relationships, kind of like they like, but it's weird. Like male lion will just be like, hey, like there's like 6 other women who fuck me. Do you want to be number 7? Yeah. And she'll just be like, yeah, sure, I guess. And then he gets to fuck them and have kids with them until another male lion essentially kicks his ass. Like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Like, you just have to sit there and wait for some guy to come over and be like, hey, I'm going to kick your ass. And then you just have to fight.
And that's honestly how humans used to be back like millions of years ago
when
we were Neanderthals. Yeah. It was very primal. And it was a way of like, and honestly... In a way, it's more complicated.
In a way, it was more beautiful.
It was a lot better back in 5000 BC.
It was better when the women just fucking listen. No,
like, if you go to a bar, like, it's kind of the same shit. It's very honest. Sorry. It's like a nature documentary. You go to it and you see like a guy who's like, hey, how you doing? And then, like, this other guy's talking to a girl, and he's like, well, fuck you. You're talking to my girl. I'm going to kick your ass, man. Let's go outside. And you just watch the same shit on, like...
I know, you can quite literally hear David Attenborough just like, the male has noticed the young challenger now.
The young Chad.
And it's just some dude like, yo, who the fuck is that over by my bitch?
And it's like, the young Chad now shows his Michael Kors watch to them.
They call this behavior sizing. It's just like 2 dudes like, yo, what's up, bro? What's up, bro? Let's go, bro. I'm right here, bro. I'm right here. Yo, Come at me. It's like both males are very terrified at the moment.
And honestly, that is like, we should make a sketch. There probably has been a sketch.
There's definitely some kind of bar, like, nature documentary sketch. There's gotta be. I mean...
It's not that clever
because
of an idea.
It's just like, but it still resonates because it's very much true. like the human mating ritual is just more advanced and has more layers, but it's still just a mating ritual. The goal is sex. Like, and sex is something like that humans have evolved to do monogamously, at least in some cases, but even that's not across the board.
No.
So it's really still just like, no matter what you're doing, whether your goal is to get married and have kids and be like with one person until you're 90, or you just want to fuck every other living thing with legs and a hole in it, it's still just sex at the goal at the end of the day.
And animals are better because animals don't slut shame. You know, you're not going to see some fucking
Very true.
leopard be like, "What? You just gave it up like that?"
Yeah, right. Like, some chimp is just like, yeah, I'm not gonna sleep with a whore. It's like no, they're chimps. They'll pretty much fuck any. Well, actually, not chimps don't really like sex that much. Bonobo chimps, which is like the related ones. Well, they don't rape. They just fuck each other.
I've read a book about this called Bonobo Handshake, and apparently
they use sex to like, it's not rape. It's like they use sex to like solve disputes. So whereas two chimps are fighting over land, they literally just like kill each other with fists. Two bonobos are fighting over land. They just fuck each other until one gives up. Like,
I use sex to solve disputes too. The dispute is whether or not you're gonna have sex.
Hey, fucking Dangerfield over here.
Oh my! Hey,
you know, did you hear there's a type of chip that uses sex to solve disputes? I use sex to solve disputes too. The dispute is whether or not you're gonna have sex with me.
Rapist Dangerfield.
Hey, I got no respect around here.
I got no respect,
especially not from the women I'm having sex with.
R.I.P. Dangerfield.
Yeah, R.I.P. Yeah, good.
The comedy
good club that I literally never saw.
Yeah, me neither.
I've actually heard a lot of bad things about them too.
Really? Well, what's his face? Michael Zimmelman, friend of ours.
Oh yeah, shout out Mike. I haven't seen Mike in forever, man. Hope he's good. Hope you're doing well, Mike. If you're listening,
I think Mike's the man. I mean, he invited me to like hit up this guy Bob DeBono who used to throw
Bob the Boner.
Bob the Boner.
Hey, what's up? It's Bob the Boner over here.
Bob the Boner. Well, he actually is like a really funny comedian, and he like runs these or used to run these shows at Dangerfields. And no more. Dangerfields was where the Joker was filmed. It was a famous comedy club.
Yeah, no, it's one of the greatest. I mean, it's named after... I don't know if it's named after Rodney Dangerfield. Am I wrong in saying that?
No, it just happens to have the same name. Fucking idiot.
Right. It's like, wait, no way. You're a comedian? Dude, our club.
That's crazy. Rodney Dangerfield named after the comedy club.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, I mean, yeah, rest in peace. But
speaking of
where were we? Oh yeah, no, just the sex mating ritual stuff. Yeah, it's just very interesting how it doesn't like how much more difficult it is on a dating app, which is also kind of a hackneyed point, but it's like it's just funny how you have to apply the same rules to like the digital world. Like you can't just be like, "Hey, do you want to have sex?" Like you still have to do this weird bird-like peacock feather thing, but now through social media. Like,
on Tinder, you have to have pictures.
Or you have to be, like, funny, or you have to, like, get their attention, and not just be weird, and, like... Like, I've literally messaged girls on Tinder, read the message that I sent, and then before they even had a chance to respond, just deleted the app out of shame. Yeah, it's impossible. Like, it's so hard.
They're not gonna, like, say anything. I mean, I'm on Tinder, and I don't know why right now, because there's no dating. Like, I can't go on any dates.
Yeah, there's nowhere to
go. What's the point?
Why
am I on here?
Are you going to go to, like, it's like, okay, like, we both work until 9. We can go to a bar, and the date will be getting kicked out, because it's 10 p.m. by the time we get there. Like, that's literally, like...
There's no connection to be formed. And I've read online about people... Like, my sister developed a relationship... from the pandemic, but it's just like
some people did that.
Some people have done that. I don't get that. Yeah, but it's true. Like you have to be funny. You can't just be like yourself. You can't be like, "Hi, I'm Bill. Let's have sex." No, you gotta have you have to bring something else to the table.
Also, you can't just be like, "Hey, what's up?" Like you have to be like,
you have to have something clever.
It's even harder. Like people who are good at dating apps is kind of bizarre to me. I've gotten lucky on them, but
yeah,
I've never really like. I mean, I don't kill with women in person either, but I've never, at least in person. Women. Yeah, I just kill females. I don't kill with them. But yeah, it's just an interesting topic. And how like so much of like the, you know, the sort of, I like to call like romance morality that people express when they talk about this shit is really just such bullshit and a mask, like that's just trying to hide the obvious fact that you want to fuck. Like people would be like, well, I could never fuck someone who has a personality that doesn't stimulate me. It's like, shut the fuck up. Yeah, you could. You could easily do it. You could do it in a, like, I think we were talking about that last time briefly.
If
like,
Ryan Gosling had like the most boring personality in the world and was like a Trump supporter and was a total racist, women would still fuck him without a question. Like people, and the same thing with guys with like I don't know, like
Scarlett Johansson could literally say like, she could get on TV and be like, not only is the world flat, but anybody who has an abortion deserves to be in jail, and I would still eat her pussy. Yeah, like, totally, 100%.
There's not even so anybody. Yeah, people will say that to a point. They'll be like, I can't date someone with a boring personality, but then you see women. Or you see guys, you see people with their special others, and you're like, why are you with this person?
Right.
Like, well, they're hot, or they got a big
Also, you start to realize that everyone's kind of just boring. No one's really that interesting. Yeah. Like, we're all one of a billion, you know, strange, like, hairless apes that just waddles around on the planet. Like, none of us are that super interesting unless you live a special life. And you don't really meet somebody based on your criteria ever. It's just kind of like, oh, I wound up meeting this person, and it had literally been a year since I had last fucked, so I asked them out on a date. Now we're together for 3 years. Like, that's what happens. Like,
it's not, and because it's like when people say, I want, like, there's somebody out there for them, what they really mean, like, people want to find somebody that's exactly like themselves. They just want to date themselves. Essentially.
Yeah, that sounds hard. Dating myself? Oh, could you imagine if you were dating like Jack Siegel or I was dating? I feel like you would just argue with yourself all the time. No, fuck you! Well, you're a fucking bitch! Fuck you!
Just start fighting myself like Sam Rockwell and Moon. Or, you know? But like, it's just...
Oh, I would just be like, oh, like... I don't want to kiss you if you always smell like weed. It's like, well, you always smell like weed. It's like, wait, who smells like weed? Fuck.
And you're like, you know what? You always do this, but I still love you.
Yeah, but I always do this too because we're, you know.
Have you ever been, like, interested in a woman, though? Like, I can't even remember the last time.
Yeah, I mean, not really.
I met somebody who I'm like, wow, you're amazing. Everybody's kind of boring.
I don't crush on people unless they like flirt with me. But I don't crush on people randomly anymore. I've sort of trained myself not to do that. I will absolutely fantasize about fucking any woman I find attractive. Yeah. But like, I don't crush on people to be like, oh, like, I wish I could just ask them out. Unless they express it to me, like, you know what I mean? Like, right. Like if I have like a coworker or something, or somebody I see like at a bar a lot, who's always like kind of flirting with me, then my brain will start to be like, wait, I think that she likes you. But then like
those fluttery,
and it's like, ooh. But then you get the insanity where it's like, well, maybe you're just fucking thinking that because you're a prick, and it's like, you're probably right, and then it's like you don't do anything.
Well, then also you're like, do I even have a crush, or am I just lonely? You know what I mean? Like,
or have I just not spoken to anybody about anything deeper than sports in like a decade?
Well, that's the thing is like, are you even like, because right now, I mean, like, I like this girl, you know, that's like a friend of mine, but at a certain point you wonder, like, is it just because there's so little people and you're a wife that you're just like, this is the most depressing episode ever?
No, it's true.
It's
no,
like,
I mean,
you know what I mean, though?
Most depressing episode for the most depressing year.
Exactly. But it's, you know what I mean?
But it's very true. You're right. You're not wrong. Even if it is depressing, it's the truth. Like, that's what happens. It's like you'll meet somebody, whether it's at your job or like in any kind of place where you frequently show up to do something. And, you know, they'll be nice to you like one time, or like they'll laugh at one thing you say, and then your brain will just be like, "Well, wait, what was that though?
Holy shit!
Is that it? Is that it? Is that what we've been waiting for to fill the void?" And it's like you just start kind of like your brain does this mental gymnastic to kind of like convince. It's like it's a weird kind of confirmation bias in a way.
Yeah,
like you're trying to confirm like, oh. Like, clearly that's flirting. Like, why would she laugh at that? Or, like, why would she have, like, slapped my arm when I said that? Or, like, why would whatever.
And then you start thinking, like, our kids are going to look so good. Yeah. Like, it's just like, wait, what do you...
You start thinking, I can't wait until I can wear her skin around mine. No, but it's true. And then after a while, you get that thought where it's like, well, maybe I should ask her out. It's like, oh, but what do I do? What do I even say? And then what you said happens, where your brain's like, well, hold on. Are you sure you're not just, like, really depressed and need to talk to somebody? Like,
yeah, and it's like,
are you sure what you need is not a therapist? Like,
well, because it's like you go for the longest time without, like, having any girls in your life, right? And then you meet one that's, like beautiful. And then she starts talking to you, and you're like, "Holy shit!" Like, and you're like, and then because in
what
your
a
brain,
bitch!
You're like, "I'm gonna kill her." No, but like in your brain, you're thinking like, "Man, this, you know, this is it. This is the one I've always been there for." But it's just because like you're right. It's like your brain needs to counterbalance the lonely, fucking pothead, manically depressed like aspect of your life,
right?
Into like, I need to have this balance. And this is it. This is the person that's gonna break. And then you're just like, yeah, you're thinking like, I can't wait to get married to her. And me,
it's like, just like, dude, yeah,
what
it's
are you
bad.
Doing?
It's kind of like, it's like when people say, what's the word? There's like
love
that.
is a drug.
Not even love. Well, yes, love is a drug, but it's more just like. Yeah, people like have that idea. Like people talk about soulmates. Like I don't believe that's a thing. Like I don't believe in soulmates. Like people will say like I know like my soulmate is out there. Like I just more think that you might find someone who really clicks with you and get lucky. But a soulmate implies that there's a person out there who's meant to be with you. And that to me is a psychotic way of thinking. Like the idea that somebody was born and it's already decided that you're going to be with them and that if you find them, you're just going to make that happen and there's like nothing they can do. Like it's kind of disturbing.
Weird. Well, it's also, there's a contradiction there because you're saying like, I'm meant to be with it. But if you don't find your soulmate, then you were never meant to find your soulmate in the first place.
Yeah, it's like then you should kill yourself,
well, then,
right?
But, like, but then it's also like then there is no soulmate because if they're a soulmate, then you're meant to be with them. But if you're not with them, then you weren't meant to. Be with them
then you never had a soulmate. Exactly.
It makes no sense.
And it's also just kind of relates to this idea. It's like this idea that like you like she saved me or like my relationship saved me. Like that's a twisted way to think. Like to try to ask someone out because you're looking for somebody to like dump your mental baggage onto them. Like how fucked up is that?
It's like, and you're just thinking about yourself. You're not even thinking about what they want.
Right.
Or their
like that's
needs.
really, I think that's in most cases with adults. I think most crushes can be boiled down to just that.
Selfishness.
Like the person who is crushing on the other person has issues in their life at the moment and either they're depressed or just really stressed out and they have anxiety and they meet this person who they do like and they find attractive and you know they could see themselves getting along with and their brain ramps it up because their brain wants to find like some kind of outlet to release all this energy. And I think the important thing is not literally like
getting too much onto them.
Yeah, it's kind of like imagine if like you were watching American Beauty and fucking
Angela.
Yeah, like what's his name?
Lester.
No. Why am I Kevin? It's like if Kevin Spacey's character decided to fully go for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just because he was like attracted to a teenager, like.
Yeah.
Which is why I love that movie.
Exactly. Well, all the times I've gone after teenagers. Here's the thing. I used to actually have a bit about soulmates when back in the old days of when comedy was still a thing.
Yeah, the ancient times.
I miss doing comedy so badly, but
same.
I mean, we'll be back to it eventually. But the thing is, I used to have this joke where I was talking about soulmates. I'm like, everyone talks about how they met their soulmate. Well, what a coincidence that they happen to work at the same job as you. Like, if there really is a soulmate, like there's like over 5 billion people on the entire planet. Shouldn't your soulmate? How do you know it's not like some Cambodian 85-year-old lady?
Yeah, right.
Like
it's just funny that God works it out that way. That your soulmate just so happened to apply to the same Baskin Robbins.
Exactly. They live in your town.
It's like,
wow, what amazing.
Not only do I have a soulmate out of the 1 out of 7 billion people on this earth, they're also from Long Island and also work at this Denny's. No way.
Yeah, exactly. And
it's crazy. It's true.
I mean, go to the same college.
Could you imagine if there was like a way where it's like, all right, here's a way you could see your soulmate. Like, just type in your name and this computer will pull it up, and then you type in your name and it's like you say, it's like some like it's like some 75-year-old woman from a tribe in Uganda, and
She
you're
like
just
has
like, really?
one leg, and she's like a chain smoker.
She has one of those. She has like the neck rings that go all the way around. And
you're like, all right,
I mean, if that's my soulmate, I guess I gotta fly to Uganda. But
it's funny. There was an episode of Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide about that, where they made like a
what they tried to stop Coney 2012.
It's where they all end up. That's where Ned shoots up the school.
It's like Coney 2012 is like Ned gives the rundown on the Coney's fucking.
So here's the thing. When you're trying to kill an African dictator, you got to remember
killing an African warlord is not easy. It's like studying for an exam, and then you just see like Cookie trying to like pinpoint him with like a GPS tracker or something.
Hey Ned, they're right around the corner, and he still has that like on again, off again relationship with the
female character.
But like they had a thing where
they did, they wanted to bang. They wanted to get their nice 12-year-old smash going.
Oh yeah, now it's not. But like there was some episode where I think it was Moe's like made an app that tells you like who the right person for you is.
Really?
And like they found him and like they did it on Cookie, who's the black character? Cookie. Yeah. No, he was the one who made the thing, and he tested on himself, and it matched him with like some golden retriever. And they're
very progressive of that show.
Oh yeah,
gotta say,
normalize bestiality, like, and then this dog was just sucking his cock.
Yeah, I just remember that scene in the end where he was railroading the dog in the asshole.
And they were both howling at the same time.
Yeah, they were like, oh, he was all sweaty too.
That was a weird part though. I don't know why they included that.
Yeah, it's weird. It was kind of. I think it was a little much.
I think they could have done without that.
For a kid show, it was heavy.
It was, but like
still though, Nickelodeon had balls back in the day.
Yeah, Dan Schneider had balls.
Dan Schneider had some kind of balls in his mouth.
Yeah, well, so did all those
the
actresses.
Balls of a child. Though. It's crazy, like how like our whole childhood was controlled by a fucking pedophile. Dan
Not
Schneider.
Confirmed. We don't want to get sued.
No, I'm going to confirm it right now with my own anecdotal opinion of it. I believe Dan Schneider's a pedophile.
Okay.
I will confirm it now on this podcast.
He's got that.
I'm openly slandering him.
He's got that Dan Schneider lawyer money, though. I don't know.
Oh, no. He's going to be like, "Oi, please stop saying this."
He sounds like a rabbi.
Yeah, he sounds like a rabbi.
Williamsburg. Oi, my God.
Oh, my God. How can you say this?
That is ridiculous.
I've never done anything to Miranda Cosgrove.
I actually, you know, my best line I ever had on Tinder. Speaking, I know I'm like circling all the way back. Was when I told this random girl.
Big circle back though.
I messaged her and one of her photos. I forget. I think it was. I said you look like Seth Rogen in this photo.
That's how you get her.
And I don't know why. I was thinking of that like. But, like, no, it wasn't. It was some male celebrity. I was like, you look like this. And she's like, oh, hello. And I'm like, oh, really? That's what people want to hear? Like, fuck you. You know what I mean?
Wait, she liked it?
Yeah, she thought, like, ha, 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 that's funny. And I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with you
Maybe
people?
she respected you for being progressive and not assuming her gender.
Maybe.
She's like, oh, thank you. I do identify as he.
Or maybe these people are just assholes.
Maybe.
They're just
fucking. Well.
So, speaking of sex, though, have you been on Pornhub recently?
Yes, I have. I've been looking for all the videos.
Dude, they've disappeared.
You know what's crazy? Here's the thing. All right, so for those of you that don't know this, as much as Pornhub tries to paint themselves as this kind of like, you know, progressive-y sort of ahead of the curve,
do they
like they do. They'll be like, oh, Pornhub is donating to like deforestation efforts,
or like
Black
Lives Matter.
Or Pornhub is donating to Black Lives Matter, and then it's like
they say it like that.
Yeah,
Black Lives Matter.
It's like, okay, Pornhub's donating to Black Lives Matter now. It's like one of the like female porn stars who just knows she's gonna get railroaded again.
This is all for you, Trayvon.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, so Pornhub, they try to present themselves as kind of like a morally, like at least respectable industry in a way, but there's always been strange accusations about them, you know, specifically in the child porny area. And, you know, there was actually one case I remember reading about where, like, they found a missing child in a video on Pornhub. But since that, they passed new restrictions now where basically, like, we should probably pull up the article.
It was a bombshell article in the New York Times about
basically, my understanding of it is that, you know, in order to upload a video on Pornhub now, you now have to be licensed by some sort of fully legitimized, like, pornography distribution outlet. Yeah. Otherwise, you're not allowed. And that because they don't want anybody who's not, like, verified, I guess.
Yeah.
Uploading shit. Which is, like...
most of their videos.
Yeah, which the thing is, most of the shit on Pornhub is just uploaded by random people, which is funny because I read this article, and I do actually have a Pornhub account, believe it or not. Very low-key have a Pornhub account, but, you know, it's just to keep track of the videos I watch. Dude, I went to my Pornhub account.
That's actually a smart idea.
Bro, I had like 800 videos in my watched list. I went to the account after reading the article that is saying that Pornhub found child porn in some of these videos they deleted.
Yeah.
I went from 700 videos to 40.
Oh my
I was like, what the fuck? Well, no, please tell me those aren't all children.
Well, I saw like
But I mean, obviously, it's just because they were all unverified.
Yeah.
But for a minute, I was like, wait.
What the fuck am I
No way.
watching?
Yeah, right? Like, for a minute there, it's
people?
like, wait a minute, does that mean all 600 plus of those videos were... And then it's like, well, no, it's because they're unverified.
Yeah,
of course I'm not a pedophile. Like,
but I mean, like...
But here's what it is. It's
okay.
Pornhub is currently in the process of deleting all unverified videos. A massive portion of its content library.
Is that Vulture?
Yeah. Before implicating a more thorough verification process in the new year. So, videos that are not uploaded by official content partners or members of Pornhub's model program will be removed pending verification as part of our policy to ban unverified uploaders. This means every piece of Pornhub content is from verified uploaders, a requirement that platforms like Facebook, IG, TikTok, YouTube, Snapchat, and Twitter have yet to institute. That's crazy that Pornhub is doing that first.
Yeah.
But I guess when you're dealing with, you know, sexual content, it's kind of like...
It's
because you can literally upload a video and be like, nah, she was 18, it's fine. But like, how do we know unless we know that that video came from a company? Like,
yeah.
And that's the thing about it is like...
Well, how do you know these companies are not like themselves?
Yeah, that's another question.
How
it's
do
like,
they know they're not trafficking?
It's like, all right, we can only take videos from these guys. Our boys over here we know are good. But it's like, they're literally fucking 9-year-olds.
One of their boys is Jared Fogle.
Yeah. And then the other one is like R. Kelly or something.
But it's weird because it's when I saw that most of their videos were deleted, I was like, all right, so that means like, you know, 60%. No, it's like 80 to 85% of their entire library was deleted. Like, it was humongous.
It was like one of the biggest, like...
Some of my favorite videos.
I don't know if there's a word for this, but for lack of a better word, I'll just call this like content sweep. It's one of the largest content sweeps that any website has ever done of its own, like, platform in history. It might be the largest.
It would be like if Facebook tomorrow just deleted most profiles.
Yeah, or just it'd be like if YouTube deleted every video that was not uploaded by a famous person or a company. Yeah, like they'd be like that. Like imagine like 90% of YouTube just vanishing and only verified content
on a day's notice too.
Yeah,
like it was crazy
without warning. Like you go on the website the next time and everything's gone.
Because I found out about this through masturbation, like how I found out most about.
Like how I found out about most big subjects in the world.
Yeah,
like
for example, I found out on 9/11.
I did know George Floyd as a porn star before anything else.
He had a big dick.
I'll be honest, I found that porn video. It was not bad. I'll give it to the man. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
I mean, rest in peace before that,
wait.
But still, yeah, I mean, he's like, a porn star. There's a real video. You can.
I thought you were just kidding.
No, George Floyd was a porn star.
What?
Yeah, he was a porn star. You didn't know that?
No.
I remember it going hugely viral when it was found out. Yeah, dude, there's literally a video of him. He has a huge... Well, he had a huge dick.
God, that cop
I mean, I can't be disrespect. How am I disrespecting him? His dick.
He's got a huge dick.
His dick was huge.
There's nothing wrong
it was
with that.
gigantic. I'm quite...
I would have sucked it if it.
Quite frankly, he made me feel inadequate.
If he presented, I probably would have blown him.
No, absolutely. Even before everything.
Yeah,
No, it was like.
I'm not gay, but if you see a dick that big, you gotta suck it.
It was a pretty decent porno. Like, I don't know how many he's made, but it looked like it wasn't his first time around the block. Like, it was. It was good.
Did Pornhub delete that video?
Actually, I found that one on like X video. I found out about it through like Twitter, then Reddit, and then like various like news articles talking about it. Yeah. And then I just like went on like X videos, which is, by the way, a porn site that has yet to implement the restrictions of Pornhub. And I was like, I literally just typed in George Floyd, and it actually just came up. Like, which means someone was so fucked up in the head that as soon as it happened and he got killed, he's like, oh, I have his video. I got to put it up on X videos with his name so everyone can find it.
As a memorial to the guy.
As a memorial.
As an homage to him.
No,
there'll be like a fading over screen of him railing some woman in the ass by like, I will remember.
Just like, or it's like fucking like, it's like a slow motion video of him like getting dick roaded, and it's just like,
1974 to 2020 or whatever it was. Like,
yeah.
But it's honestly, it's like I found out because I was going because we all have our go-to videos, right? So
I mean, it depends. But I think everyone watches porn differently. Some people are like, because I've talked to different people. Some people are like, I just scroll through everything and find something that looks interesting, and click on it, and I never like repeat or like look.
Really,
for anything.
that's crazy.
Yeah, me, I find videos I like, and then they kind of stay in my library for a while. And like I look for new stuff, but I can always go back
to your
to the old stuff, to the ones I know work, to the ones I know are good. Yeah.
I mostly have like a selection of like 20 videos. Like I
20.
We're like,
bro. I had like 700. Where were you at?
I mean, like I'm very picky when it comes. I need the right angles. I
need the right cinematography decisions. If it wasn't directed by at least Scorsese, I'm sorry.
There's a porn with a Rolling Stone soundtrack too. Yeah. But honestly, I looked at I was like, all right, let me go to my go-to videos. I got my cock out, and then I was like, this video has been removed. I was like, what the fuck? It has been unverified. And I looked at a few other videos. I'm like, shit.
You're like, what's happening?
Why? So it's like the sex traffickers are not only ruining that woman's life, but they're
ruining my goddamn masturbation.
Yeah, they're preventing me from jerking off to my favorite videos.
Yeah, what monsters?
Again, not child pornography.
At least not most.
At least that we know. Honestly, though, it makes you feel kind of grimy because it's like we're supporting this website that has that shit.
Well, because here's the thing, like, and this is why I don't want to blame Pornhub. Like, just like the article just said, most websites
they didn't know.
Well, no, that's just the thing. Most websites that stream videos do not have this rule.
Yeah.
YouTube does not have the YouTube has its own restrictions, but YouTube does not have anything that says you cannot upload unless you're a verified content creator.
Right.
I can put it. We put this shit on YouTube every week. It's not verified. Like, we're not a legitimate company, at least not yet.
Not yet.
But not yet. Podcast LLC.
Yeah.
But
YouTube puts up sex traffickers from
Well, I mean, the thing is, if something sketchy gets put on YouTube, it gets flagged immediately. Right. They're really good at that now. I don't know if they do it with AI or with actual spotters, but YouTube has been very on top of its.
But like getting back to our conversation a couple of weeks ago, Seth Simons is a child sex trafficker, and he has videos on YouTube. And
well, right, they're not perfect.
They haven't taken it down yet.
Everybody yet. There's still a couple of fiends out there on the loose. Couple of fucking people slipping through the cracks, a couple swipers.
But they're doing the best they can.
Yeah, they'll get them. They just should get them because those people deserve to go.
Actually, I was watching one of those I used to watch this YouTuber named Shane Dawson.
Oh yeah, Shane Dawson.
Before I found out he's like a fucking idiot.
Well, I remember back in the day he used to just be this like weird emo guy that made these like offensive videos where he cursed a lot, and it was just like, oh, like, yeah, at age 13 I could totally get behind this, and then like, you get older and you see other YouTubers who are kind of better, and like, like. He wasn't even the first I really found. Like, the first most people found, at least back then, was like Smosh Nigahiga.
So I didn't even know he was that guy. I thought
he was, yeah. But then like he changed after a while. Like it's weird, and I didn't see his change because remember, like, you know, for a whole decade I stopped really watching YouTube guys. Right. So it was just like I don't know if these dudes like died or killed themselves or got new jobs and finally moved on with their lives. Right? But like
can't be a children forever.
And then but then I go back and you see some people are still at it. Like, you know, Smosh was still making videos for a while, and then you'll see like, oh, like this guy still makes videos on his own website or like in a different way. And then it's like, oh, and Shane Dawson. Apparently he's fucking insane now. It's like, really?
He lost his mind. He got controversy for doing something racist. I always knew he was a fucking idiot. I actually discovered him over quarantine, and I was watching his conspiracy videos and like his top 10 creepiest whatever. You know, sometimes you're like, I want to watch some creepy shit to get myself like.
It's like late at night, you're like, let's watch like top 10 like alien sightings or something.
Yeah, and you want to get yourself scared because it's its own kind of high, and you're like, hoo. Anyway, so I was watching one of his conspiracy videos, and he was talking about how YouTube, the way they get around like pedophilia is by having, like, he's like, if he types in this video called like this 7-year-old girl dancing, it says like it has like 400,000 views. He's like, why the fuck is there 400,000 views on this video?
Jesus, and that is kind of weird.
And he's like, all right, let's type in this other video of like this little kid doing this other thing. And it's like 500,000 views. He's like, why the fuck are there so many goddamn views of these random kids?
But then it's like
pedophiles are watching.
But then it's like you start to think maybe it's just Shane Dawson refreshing the page over and over. He's like, wait a minute, now there's 501,000 views.
What the hell?
502. Keep refreshing the page.
He's making his own conspiracy videos.
Yeah.
But he was saying, I mean, it was an interesting theory. Obviously.
Right.
Take it with a grain of salt.
No, I mean,
I'm not saying what he's saying is legit. I'm just saying it was like
when you
creepy.
say that out loud, it sounds kind of weird. But the thing is, I remember like, you know, sometimes videos just get a lot of views just because they're lucky. Like, they just wound up getting clicked on, or they just got, like, you know, and yes, the context is strange. But there's a video I have that I put out when I was like 12 that I think has like 30,000 views.
What?
Yeah, like it's literally just a video of my friend doing tricks on a waveboard, and I'm almost positive that it has like let me see if I can find it. I'm almost positive it has.
Well,
over
like I said, it's a conspiracy theory, and like every conspiracy theory, there's a logical explanation behind it. You know what I mean? It's obviously just bullshit.
Dude, this video has 47,000 views that I made.
Let me see.
It's called Wave. All right, if anyone wants to look this up, my old YouTube account was called SD South Park 1234, and this video is called Waveboard Tricks and Jumps Beginner in parentheses. It has 47,000 views. See, this is what I mean. Like, I feel like some shit just kind of gets lucky. Like, there's nothing I did to promote this.
There's 95 likes and 69 dislikes. Who's disliking your video?
Dude, 69 people must have thought we suck. I mean, to be fair, the tricks are not that good. And like, if you want to listen to it, we use like the Futurama theme, like as the music.
I can't see your face, so it's all of.
No, it's all my friend. None of it was me. I was filming, I think.
Oh, okay. When was this? How old were you guys?
Oh my god! This must have been like 2000. What year does it say?
Here's your front yard.
Yep.
That's
And there's my address, and there's my social security number. Wait, what?
Tricks by Max. I like the blue.
Yeah. Oh yeah, or the Windows
Filmed
movie
by
maker.
Tom and Andrew. Thanks for watching. Well, there's a video.
Literally though, like the fact is that could get like
30,000.
This literally has this video is. I mean, yes, this video is. Let me see how old this is. This video is literally 10 years old, but it still has 47,000 views.
Yeah, that's
like
random as fuck.
Like that. It's out of nowhere. I feel like sometimes
pedophiles are watching you guys play.
Pedophiles with like foot fetishes are just like, yeah, ride that fucking waveboard, you little fucking bitch. Yeah.
That is weird. I mean, there's a video, and I think it's probably deleted, of me when I was like 11 or 12 years old, dancing to the "I Like to Move It" song from Madagascar. And I don't think it's still on YouTube, but if you guys want to search, you might. If you guys can find that, that'd be pretty amazing.
Yeah, if you guys can find that and jerk.
By the way, what'd you think of my rap the rap video that I was in of Matt Solomon's.
I have yet to like.
Really? All right,
I'll watch it.
I'll show you it after.
And we could. I mean, actually, I don't know if Matt Solomon. You know, his shit might be copyrighted. So he's
a great rapper. Show. He's really talented.
You know, I can actually rap too. Believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah.
I can rap.
One of these days,
I can rap a sandwich.
Oh!
I don't know. You rap. You play guitar. You rap. You're a man.
I could like write raps, but like it's not something I do. Like you know what I mean. But in college, I went through a phase where like me and my friends were stoners, and we would just write raps together. But like, yeah, Matt Solomon is very good. Shout out Matt. Like
Matt's
if you want to look
talented.
at Matt, he's a talented
Tardo,
artist.
Brandon, and Dom were all in the video, and it's pretty funny. I pretend to snort cocaine.
Pretend, right?
Pretend.
I pretend to do heroin too, and I pretend to be really depressed.
So let's tie this like since it's the end of the year review. How was your 2020? How was your year? How was your year? I had a good year. I know everyone likes to shit on this year.
All things considered, like it really wasn't that bad. Like, it wasn't the worst. It wasn't the best year. It was definitely very hard. But I was lucky to have not lost my job for even one day. Like, I had a job the whole time. And, that means I didn't get to make the unemployment money that everybody got. Because I'm still dependent. I didn't get a stimulus check. And all that shit really sucked. But I've had guaranteed money this whole time. It's always been pretty secure. And even with the social distancing, I managed to do a lot of comedy, probably more this year than I ever did. And me and Manny Cruz, we fucking put on more shows this year than ever. I mean, we were like, during the fall, I think we put on like 10 shows. These shows. It was literally like...
You got like Chris Rock and John.
We got Jared Fogle and Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine showed up.
Who's the Bagel Boss guy? What's his name again?
The Bagel Boss guy.
Chris Morgan.
Yeah, that guy. No, but it was great. I mean, we did get some bigger comedians. Like we got Usama Siddiqui. Like we worked with Sam Morril on a collaboration show with Renee. We worked with this year was fire. Fuck everybody.
I had a great year. Yeah. I had a great year.
I actually enjoyed, even with all the hardships, like and all the constant working. Yeah. Like it had ups and downs, but it's like any year. You know what I mean? Like
it's like an elevator.
Exactly. Oh, podcast metaphor. But yeah, no, it's just like people are like, "This is the hardest year of my life." It's like I don't know. We were all kind of like, even with all the racial shit, we were at least unified with the virus. Like, cause
we weren't.
But we weren't. But we were unified in that there's nothing anyone could do about it. We're at least unified in that.
Like, I actually feel like the virus,
we were not unified in how we felt about it, but we were all equally disabled.
I mean, everyone felt like, this
like
sucks.
everyone's like, fuck, like I can't do this now.
Yeah.
Like, everybody lost something.
We have a gripe. We all had similar gripes. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I mean, like the crazy thing about 2020 is just how historical it really was. Like this year is a moment in history, not just because of the pandemic, but just because of the implications for American racism, like the American police force, like. Everything.
Well, you're also forgetting that not trying to criticize you, but I'm just saying you're retarded.
Well, I'll walk out of here right now, motherfucker.
I'm saying. Well, also we had a presidential election. We had the We had the first term president since George H.W. Bush. I was seeing the other day that in like the past 80 years, we've only had 3 presidents lose re-election. It's Jimmy Carter, George Bush Sr., and Trump. 3 presidents that have lost.
Interesting.
And
I always knew it wasn't a lot, but I never knew who it was. Yeah, that makes sense.
But like
all for very different reasons. Yes. Carter because he was a pussy.
Well, it was the Iranian hostage crisis. And the economy was shit. Honestly, here's the thing that all those come down to, and it's very similar. Every election comes down to the economy. I think somebody that worked for Clinton said, like, it's the economy, stupid. That's how people vote on every single election. If they have money in their wallets.
And I don't know. I think this election was kind of different. Because I think economically, like, America wasn't really in shambles. Like, we weren't great. It was like up and down.
What are you talking about? We were losing businesses like
no, not that. Like I mean, before the pandemic.
Oh yeah,
like,
before the pandemic.
Before the pandemic, we were pretty much all right. Like there was plenty of struggling, but like for what it's worth, like everything was kind of going well. Yeah. And then like the pandemic hit and everything went to absolute trash, and then that changed it. But I feel like with the
if it wasn't for the
because
pandemic.
The weird thing about the pandemic is like the Democrats were the ones who were saying lock up more. Right. And I feel like if you're a business owner, you're like, well, I don't want that. I should vote for Trump.
Right.
But the thing is, Trump didn't win. He got a lot of votes, but he lost. So I feel like this might have been the first election where the economy, I think Clinton may have been right for every election before this one. But now I think this election was decided by something else.
Well, I think it was a repudiation of Trump. They were just
I think it was decided. This election was decided by national identity.
Yeah.
It was like those guys versus us, like literally, like not even really Trump and Clinton anymore, Trump and Biden anymore. Just like I know if Trump wins, that there's a certain type of person who's going to be happy.
Yeah, exactly.
And I want to take them down. That's what it was. That's what beat Donald Trump.
My dad had a great line after the 2016 election. I remember I came home from school that day, and he said to me, he's like, you know what it feels like? It feels like the assholes won.
Right. Yeah.
And that was like. Yeah, I know what you mean. And it's like it was a cultural thing more than like an economic
Exactly.
thing.
It was about this election was about national identity. The last one in 2016, I don't think started that way. Yeah. I think in 2016, that election might have somewhat been about foreign policy just because of like how each, because the truth is, I think what got Trump his base of support was the wall. Like, that's what got him his first bump of popularity.
And nobody ever talks about that anymore.
I know, right? It's like it's like, are we building it?
Dude, for months, every single day, it was the wall, we gotta build the wall, and now it's like,
it's like, I mean, he said there was a wall, maybe.
You guys were so pumped about it.
Yeah, that was like the only reason you won, and now it's like 4 years in. You're out of office. Wall. There's no wall. Like, you suck. But that's the thing, is that election, I think, was more about foreign policy, because here you had Hillary Clinton, who was very open border, or not super open borders, but at least more so than Trump, and also wanted to be tougher on like Russia and certain like trade deals. And then you had also wanted to maintain certain foreign involvements. And then you had Trump, who was like, keep the spics out, literally, like there's basically that, like. Yeah. And then also just like, let's pull out all of our soldiers everywhere, including the ones where we made promises to save us money for shit. And I think that like may have got a lot of those, like, at least just like a lot of fed up Republicans to the polls. Yeah, just got a lot of people who are fed up like with certain things to the polls. But now, though, after Trump won, it's not about anything literal at all. It's just like now it's literally like that. His supporters are now it's literally like his supporters are monsters, and if they even have a shred of pride for one more second, the country's doomed.
Yeah,
like
no, it's true, and it's like we want to see them. And I was saying that, like, wouldn't it be nice to see them angry? And it's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling to have because you're wanting other people to not.
Also, it's totally irrational. Like, you should be voting based on policy and based on what you know about the things you read about what's going on in the world.
I did anyway, but I'm just saying, like, that...
Well, I did that.
I did that.
Well, I totally did that too, though, bro. But that's the thing, is most people don't.
Yeah.
Most people say they do, but don't. Most people are like... Yeah. And myself included, I really don't. I'm not that informed. But, like, I voted just kind of because I was, like, in a way, it was the same thing. I was just sick of, like, all these motherfuckers with Trump. Like, I was both sick of, like, the people who worship him, and I was sick of all the people who demonize him. Like, I was sick of, like, him being touted as a god, and, like, all the people who can't get over how satanic he is. It's like, I just wanted somebody else.
Sick of talking about him.
Literally, like, I just wanted somebody else in there just to ease the social stress. It really my decision had nothing to do with, like, oh, well, Biden said this about, like, oil, or, like, Biden said this about gun law. Like, it really didn't have anything to do with that.
I mean, and also, like, in 2016, Trump won, I think, because he came in, he was an outsider. He was like, I haven't been part of Washington, D.C., I want to shake things up and change things. And people are like, okay, He's like anti-establishment. Let's change things up. But now he is the establishment, so you can't run on that anymore because you've been the president for 4. You can't be like, I'm this outsider. It's like, no, dude, you're the president.
Yeah, you can't be say like, drain the swamp when the swamp is mostly your cabinet.
Yeah, you can't. It's just like it doesn't make sense. And now that he's lost, like I predicted this would happen, like that he would refuse to leave. Everybody would go. His supporters would go ape shit. Now he's just kind of like going out on a vendetta. Like he like.
He's also just saying shit he would never say. He's like, I think all Americans should get $2,000 instead of $600, and I'm like, yeah, well, you know what? If you won, you wouldn't be saying that, so fuck you.
And also, you should have said that like months ago.
Right? Yeah, that's what I mean.
People would have voted for you.
He wouldn't, but he didn't want to say that. But now that he lost, he feels like he could say that.
Well, it's also like he's saying that when he knows it's not going to happen. You know?
And like the fact is, I don't know. Some people I know think that Trump is never going to give in, but. You know, if he didn't give in, what would happen? Like, he can't invoke the, what's it called? The
Insurrection Act?
Yeah, he can't invoke that. I don't think he has the grounds.
No.
And I don't think I think he even said he doesn't want to do that.
See, his supporters don't understand, like, the Constitution. And not to, like, belabor the point, because we've talked enough about Trump on this podcast.
Yeah.
But, like, it's just, like, people are like, well, we're going to go to the Supreme Court. It's like, you can't just go to the Supreme Court. They have to have a reason to take your case.
Could you imagine if like a bunch of really fat like rednecks wearing like MAGA hats
we're here
just, like, started banging on the Supreme Court?
Hey,
excuse me, we have a case for y'all.
Yeah, what time do you guys open up?
It's the case of the bullshit election fraud case.
It's the case of the Patriots versus the cannibal pedophiles.
It's a case of the people who love America versus the reptilian monsters.
The communist Marxists.
Versus the communist Bohemian Grove attendee faggots.
They would knock on the door and just be like, hey, what time you guys open today? We got a case for y'all. It's
written all here in crayon.
But that's honestly what they think. Like, they're like, we're going to go to the Supreme Court. It's like, you can't just go, like...
Yeah, it's like,
you don't understand how things
I'm just going to pop it into the GPS and knock on the door and, you know, I guess I have to wear a face mask when I'm going in.
And they're like, he's going to, like... declare martial law. It's like you don't understand.
The Supreme Court only takes public cases if like every other court passes them.
Right.
Up. Like, you know what I mean? Like the only reason something like,
or if they have grounds to take it, if it's a case with any sort of evidence. But it's like
something like the only reason something like Roe v. Did Roe v. Wade even go to the Supreme Court?
Yeah.
Yeah. The only reason something like that did is because that case has implications for the rights of every human being in America. Like, and there's also, like, it's just, like, it's very clear what happened. Like, it's very clear what the case is.
You can't just be like, well, we lost.
With this, it's like, wait, well, we have an insane conspiracy theory that we want the 9 justices to hear.
It's like, it like, the reasoning behind it is, well, we don't like the fact that we lost, so, like, what the fuck? It's also just, like... They don't understand how, like, things work. You know? We're going to declare martial law. Really?
It's crazy how...
You want to become a dictatorship?
Trump is the freedom candidate, and now his supporters seem really comfortable with martial law.
Martial law. What the
like,
fuck
you were the ones who were claiming that Biden would do that. And now you're like, well, I think if that's what it takes for Trump to stay, it's like, you know what? You're literally like putting your mouth into your own feces at this point.
You're
putting your own feces into your. Either way,
you're rooting for a dictatorship. It's weird, man. It's like it's the United Nations should if that happens, like, which is not going to. I don't think. There's no way. But the United Nations would literally have to, like, other countries would send in their troops to fucking rescue America from itself. It's weird. If that happens, the United States has done to other countries.
My theory with that would happen is not... Like, I just don't think the government would back him.
No,
because I don't think Trump has as many friends now as he would
Mitch
need.
McConnell is no longer behind him.
Well, that's the thing. No, he doesn't have any friends. So if Trump says, I'm not moving, like...
Yes, you are.
Yeah, you are.
They're going to drag you out.
Like, we're literally just, like, Biden will just have his Secret Service attack him. Like, it's not...
Yeah.
Like, and if he tried to invoke that, they wouldn't let him. Like, they just... At this point, they've even, like, if they cheated, let's just entertain it. If they cheated, then they've already decided that Trump is out of there. So it doesn't matter if he invokes martial law. So what are you guys clamoring about anyway?
Yeah, they cheated, but they decided to lose the Senate. Also.
Just to make it look good.
Yeah, like, come on, man. And it's so stupid, man. It's honestly, the United States has done to other countries for reasons that we're talking about, because they've declared martial law, and like because other leaders of other countries have refused to leave the office, we've invaded them.
I mean,
and now it's like the same shit.
We have also, destroyed democratically elected governments.
No, it's not good. We shouldn't get involved. With.
I think the point is like this year and this election has shown that America's changing rapidly.
Oh yeah. And the same thing with the Black Lives Matter protest, like what you were saying, because Black Lives Matter, when it first started off, was very like people were against it. They were like, "Oh, this
in the beginning, yeah." Because when it really first popped,
after Ferguson,
it first popped up with the Freddie Gray thing. Is that the name, Freddie Gray?
Baltimore, yeah.
And that one was like, at that point, it seemed more like an Antifa kind of terrorist-y thing, and like. Some people were like, well, I support them. Some people were like, well, no, that's scary. And then you heard about things where, like, cops got killed and supposedly they were involved. And then with the George Floyd thing, it was, like, total, like...
Everybody was behind it.
People would say Black Lives Matter, but I think even before George Floyd, you knew there was a difference between, like, saying Black Lives Matter as an idea versus... the group that is Black Lives Matter that has certain members and is like a group of people. Like, because there is a difference. Like, you could say Black Lives Matter and echo the resonation of that idea and not support the group of people that directly organizes the things that that Black Lives Matter the group does.
There still are those shitheads that are like, this is a terrorist group and blah, blah, blah. But
I think it's kind of shaky. I don't know. It's not terrorism isn't the right word, but like I don't think Antifa is a terrorist group either. I think they're both just kind of militant radical groups.
I'm not saying that it is a terrorist group. I'm saying there's people that believe it's a terrorist group.
No, that's what I mean.
Like
I'm saying
it's just like
there's like behaviors that both groups do that are similar to what terrorists would do. Like, for example, like radicalization through social media or through just propaganda in general.
Yeah, but that's you can make that same argument about like any group of people.
Really. I do, and I would make that argument about the Proud Boys. I would make that argument about almost any like weird political minded faction of radicals, because radicalism leads to things like terrorism. That's really what it is. Like anytime you have radicals, at least from my understanding of it. Which is limited, relax, guys. I'm a white guy from Long Island. But, my understanding of, for my understanding, anytime there's radicalism in a society, you have a much higher chance of violence occurring. And that's true whether you're talking about Black Lives Matter or the Proud Boys or Richard Spencer and his gang of tiki torch.
But there's never been like a violent attack by Black Lives Matter.
Well, there was. Like it was before the Freddie Gray thing. There was the whole thing where those cops got shot.
Oh yeah, that.
Yeah, there was that.
Yeah, but okay, that's true.
And then there's also
the
behavior of people in riots. It's not terrorism, but
it's
still violence.
The group of Black Lives Matter people, they didn't, support. They immediately were like, "Fuck these people." They don't,
Right, but it's still kind of like people taking the moniker and image of a certain brand and using it now to attack. It's like the same thing as somebody saying like, "Oh, like I'm gonna blow up the Empire State Building for Donald Trump." Like it wouldn't necessarily mean that Trump himself is a terrorist, but it would also mean that like the things that Trump say might enable terrorist attitudes to form. And I think that's true about like certain things Black Lives Matter says, at least about the way they mobilize. It's very much like it's highly calculated. And I mean myself, like, I was on social media.
Antifa.
I mean Antifa more, but I think I myself was on social media, like I was sharing everything, like I was, and I was trying to support everything because. When we all saw the video of George Floyd being murdered, it was horrifying. It still is horrifying. I still feel like it represents that racism is alive and well in America. But, the way everyone behaved on social media was highly, like, it was almost robotic. It was like you were actually watching, like, it was like you were actually watching a bunch of people, like, quite literally filling out like blanks on a narrative form. Like,
oh yeah, well it's so obligatory, and that's the thing that like annoyed me was that all of the like,
and I'm guilty of it. Like I did it. I was part of that.
Everybody made their Instagram like a blank page.
Or the black squares. I was like we're all such fags.
Dude, that has to be the cringiest moment of 2020.
Yeah, like imagine like you're George Floyd's ghost and you're in heaven and you're just watching people do that. It's like, man, these motherfucking white people.
You guys are corny. That's what you probably.
You guys are corny. You all corny.
Like, you're fucking corny.
Even the protests were corny. Like I went to the protest. It was a very powerful experience.
Yeah, it was. But the fists in the air are corny.
I do not regret it, and I think that protesting is good in any capacity.
Right.
But like you'd go and you just see people making these speeches. It's like it's all about all of us coming together. It's like, am I at like a poetry open mic in Brooklyn right now? Like,
well, also it's just like, I mean, I agree with the protest, but like anything that involves rhyming chants is always corny.
Well, that's a lot. I mean? Those were like suburban white people protests. Like, the city protests were the more like crazy ones. Like,
those were the people like throwing Molotov.
Or also just like in general, people like doing weird dances or like really insane speakers. Like, you know, more than just no Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. Like more than that. Like
that's so corny.
Yeah, that was like that's like Long Island-y, like we're helping protests.
We're helping. I made brownies,
which is what I did. Like I went to a protest in Huntington, and it was just like a bunch of people walking on the sidewalk. Like,
oh yeah,
Black Lives Matter. Let's not stand in the road. Come on, people got to get to work. Well, Black Lives Matter.
I saw that when I was in Comac. I forget where I was going, but I drove past it, and like we were like honking their horns to them, like yeah. And it's, I mean, yeah, I know it's good.
Let me be clear, by the way, I don't support saying Black Lives Matter or speaking out against racism on. I mean, I don't regret. What did I mean?
I was like, where are you going with this?
Yeah, you're like, whoa, Tom, you're going a little off there. No, what I meant to say is I don't regret supporting Black Lives Matter. Neither. I don't regret saying it. I don't regret, speaking out against racism on social media. What I regret more is just kind of the almost brainwashing that I let happen to me, where I didn't see how there was like almost like a more sinister side to what's going on with the propaganda. Like the whole ACAB thing. Like, believe me, I 100% think that like the police force needs to be changed. Yeah. But like these people want to go to war with the cops.
No, that's
really what's going on.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, listen, all cops are not bastards, and also it's like when the whole thing forgets is that. Well, it's like you're talking about cops that are racist, but like, what about black cops? Like, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the obvious one, but it's also more just what about the fact that it's also, sorry, well, yeah, that's the gay, lame one that everyone already thought. No, but you're right.
Shitty fucking simplistic point that you made.
No, but it's true. Like, the black cop thing is obviously, like, how do you say, like, and, there's cops who are black who've probably experienced racism from other police officers, and I'm sure they can say something about that.
The police need major reform.
I think the biggest question is like, it's like, what do we like these, like when you really read the narrative of what like defund the police means and what they say they want, it's like what you're actually asking for is a total like complete recreation of like all American society, which is like only achievable through revolution. So what they're trying to do is revolts, which is like, I think a lot of Americans have to weigh with themselves, like, is that really what we want now? And are these the people who we want to be leading us?
Here's the thing,
because that's what they're saying. Like they're saying we need an entirely 100% different system. Because if you backtrack anything, they say it's like, well, how can we have no cops if there's always going to be criminals in American society? It's like, well, there'll be society will have more resources, so people won't feel the need to become criminals. It's like, well, what about people who are insane and psychotic, and it doesn't matter how many resources there are? It's like, well, there'll be resources for those people to get counseling and help. And it's like, well, what if the counseling doesn't work? And then it's like, well, really, the counseling would only not work if there was a capitalist society that was still dragging them in. And it's like, oh, now I see what this is about. Really, this is all about capitalism, communism. Like, your whole argument is that from the root, we need to completely 100% change capitalism to communism, and that's the only way we could have a society that wouldn't require an abusive police force.
Well, also, well, I mean, that's true. Like, what you're saying is that they want to have a complete remake, and like I said,
that's the point. Like, whether we don't need to. I'm not going to say it's terrorism, but that's the point. Like, if you read into it, that's the point. Like,
well, and also, it's like, like, yeah, we need major reform in the police department. I don't need to keep saying this shit because you guys already know things. But what I'm saying is, like, that's why you need moderates in office, because the way to get change done isn't through. It's not going to be possible. We're not going to have another revolution. We could,
but it wouldn't be pretty.
It could, but yeah,
it wouldn't be pretty.
The way to have practical change, though, is,
it wouldn't be. Sorry, I'll let you go, but I'll just say, it wouldn't be pretty, and B, it wouldn't result in the society you're expecting.
Exactly. Well, also, what I was saying is, if you want real change, unfortunately, it happens through incremental, gradual change, and that takes time. That's not going to happen overnight, and you need sort of practical solutions, and to have, and so like. It comes from, you know, it takes time to do that shit, and you need more like, here's how I'm going to do it. That's one of the appeals, like, with circling back to the election, that's one of the appeals that Biden has with people, is that he's like, listen, we need to, you know, get serious for a second. We can't just be, you can have all these pie in the sky dreams of, we're going to have universal health care and everyone's going to have a pony and blah, blah, blah. But it's like,
wait, a pony?
I want a pony.
I'm glad I voted for it.
But it's like, if we really want to make progress on these issues, you need to sort of like start small.
People forget about the fact that like everyone is still just going to work.
Yeah.
Like we're all going to work, like people have kids, people like nobody's ready to just up and revolt. Like most people want social changes but aren't ready to just give up their lives for it. Like if we want these changes to happen without hurting thousands of people in the revolutionary process, we have to do it gradually, otherwise risk millions of lives. Like, that's the only way. Like, otherwise you have to accept that, all right, thousands of people are going to be killed or not be able to survive in this landscape.
And it's like,
who wants that?
Yeah, no, I don't want
We're not at a point where we need that yet. Like,
who
if they
even revolt against?
If they, like, if like, Joe Biden went on TV and said the First Amendment is gone, then it'd be like, all right, let's get out there. But, like, really, even then, it would be like, well, what are we supposed to do? Like, you know, okay, how do we meet?
Like, form militias.
Yeah, like, you'd have to form militias. You'd have to figure out
Facebook group.
Yeah, we'd have to. You have like, there's like a Twitter that like only tweets in like riddles because it has to be like low key, and that's the only way you can know when the attacks are happening.
Yo, can I bring a keg? Let's get fucked up.
Yeah, it's just like a Twitter guy. It's like, yo, really want to get fucked in my ass in St. Louis right now. It's like.
It's not practical, man.
I mean, it could happen, but it would just like it would be an absolute last report. It would be an absolute last resort if it did happen, and it would if we weren't unified and didn't do it right, it would result in a lot of people dying.
I mean,
really
theoretically, anything's possible, but we can't. As a society, we can't agree on anything.
It would have to be something like, it would have to be like a Muammar Gaddafi level like offense that makes America revolt, and it would just be like, if we really want to do that, like, I don't think we should do that until we absolutely have to.
Right.
And I don't think that I think the problems America has are really horrifying and bad, but I don't think it's to the point where we have to revolt, because there's a lot of people in this country who are doing really well.
I mean, that's true, but I think you know, obviously it's completely impractical. I mean, what we're talking about, though, before, like, if, say, Trump said, I'm not leaving office, and the military said, we're going to seize voting machines, and we're going to, if he literally tried to declare martial law, then
that might be a reason. That might be a good reason.
At that point, we'd be like, okay, we literally need to have a revolution because we have a dictator, and we need, like, that
would be a good reason, yeah.
That would be completely unprecedented in the history of my cock. And it would
like, I mean, technically, yeah. Like, in the history of all the time your cock has existed, I don't think that's
ever happened. But at that point, we would literally have to have a revolution. People would revolt against the government. But like, that's why I just don't see that happening. Because that's also, like you said, confirmation bias. Just because we've never experienced something like that, and like even the thought of that or the conversation around that has never existed.
I mean, even really, like, I don't think, like, most Americans are also just pussies. Like, even the toughest of the tough. Like, you're pussies compared to any of the average...
I call people fucking idiots on Twitter.
Yeah, what are you talking about? I totally owned my middle school teacher on Facebook last week. It's like, why are you guys even talking? But like, no, but most Americans are just very docile, spoon-fed pussies. Like, even the ones who are like, you know, who grow up in a rough, like, environment, like, you're still pussies compared to the average Middle Eastern. Like, you know what I mean? Like, most people around the world are, like, excluding Europeans, Like, there's a lot of people in the world who have a much deeper violent streak than we do. And, like, yeah, we can get mad and fight.
See some shit.
But we're the type of people, like, there's the thing. Americans have a temper, and we can fight, but we're the type of people that when we get hit, you're just like, ow, 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 and you just, like, run to the side, like, ah.
And then the other person's like, dude, are you all right?
Yeah, it's like, yo, dude, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't realize I hit that. And then you're, like, you just calling an ambulance together and, like, huddled together and crying. Like, that's Americans. Americans are not these rough and tough, like, I'm going to live in the woods with no electricity and, like, have to live off the land for the revolution. Just, like, yeah. Like, I'm going to go across enemy lines just by myself, knowing I could be captured and tortured for the sake of the cause. Like, no Americans, like, zero Americans have
Do you ever watch
like
that movie, Defiance, with Daniel Craig?
I've heard of it. Maybe I have. Defiance. No, I haven't seen it. But
it's a great fucking movie with him and Liev Schreiber, and they play like these Jews in World War II, and they like, you know, they're refugees or whatever in Europe, and they go and they form this like community out in the woods, and they like build up this community, and they hunt their own meat, and then like at a certain point Nazis come, and these people literally will like take knives and like stab these Nazis through the throats and like shoot them in the fucking face. And this is a true story. And it's like, Americans are not doing that shit. No, we are fucking pussies.
I mean, even if you just watch like, if you ever watch like World War I or like World War II, like I was watching 1917 the other day, which by the way, gas movie.
Great movie.
Gas movie. But like I was watching 1917 and it's just like watching these guys, like, because I don't want to spoil too much about the movie, but it's directed as if it's all filmed in one long shot.
Yeah.
Even though it's not really, but it is directed that way.
I think it was, though.
It was, but there's scenes where I could spot, like, all right, that was an edit. Like, all right. Or like, oh, that was very obviously a spot that they could edit it. But like, regardless, it's a marvel of filmmaking. It's great. Yeah. But the way it just puts you in the shoes of these guys, like, you literally, like, you're just in these wet, dirty trenches with guns, and, like, you're going to be there indefinitely until this war is over. And, like, you have to go out and kill people. And, like, there's just nobody in the modern day United States who has a backbone like that anymore. No. Like, the idea that you could stand in a trench for so long that your feet are going to get infected and you won't be able to stand, and then you're going to watch your dead friend get eaten by rats that are literally the size of small chihuahuas. Like, there's zero Americans that are not too pussy for that.
We get, like, depressed when a girl doesn't message us back on Tinder. Like,
dude, the red notification will make us kill ourselves.
Like, it's like the fact that we're on Prozac. Nobody was on Prozac in World War I. Yeah. There's no fucking... Yeah.
Again, I know this is kind of a boomer argument that I'm making, but it's still very
true. It's true, though.
Like, you know what? You guys
broken
talk
clock
about...
is right twice a day. You know?
Yeah. It's true, though. Like, you guys talk about revolution and, you know, like, you know, changing everything and bringing about, like, the Marxist whatever, but it's like, you guys don't have the balls. Like, you don't even have the balls to handle someone addressing you, like, incorrectly. Like, if someone, like, for example, like, the whole, like, when women are told to smile thing, I think that's a shitty thing to do. Like, I don't think you should just tell women to smile because you see them on the street.
Right.
But... it's far from the worst
thing.
It's far from the worst thing that could happen to anybody.
Right.
You know what I mean? Being told to smile when you're in like a bad mood, it's kind of shitty, but like, does it even remotely compare to like what like the women of the 1940s had to endure when all the men went to war and they just had to work every single job after that? Like,
oh yeah, or you hear about like people complain about like microaggressions, and I'm like, yeah, that's shitty, but like, compared to what like people used to go through in the 60s with bigotry, it's like, yeah, it's not there's still a lot of work to be done, but like,
and it's also just like,
imagine like your grandfather hears about like, you know, these guys were like gave me this microaggression. He's like, motherfucker, I could've used the same drinking fountain, you asshole. Like, what do you
dude, there was a time where like if your kid wasn't doing what you said, it was okay to just hit them in the face as hard as you fucking can. Like, could you imagine just being a kid growing up like that? Like, and to nowadays today act like we're ready and like brazen for a revolution. It's like, we're not. It's like,
well, it's also like people have more like food allergies today and more like People
more
are just
disorders,
more mental disorders,
more things that you need medication
and a lot of that is due to the fact that like these things weren't discovered then, or people didn't realize this about that. But a lot of that shit is like a cyclical. There's just more medication.
Well, it's kind of like a thing where it's like, yeah, those things weren't discovered, but it's almost like back then, like people who had those conditions probably just kind of adapted to live with them, and I bet it sucked, but like. That was just kind of what you did. It's like if you had ADD, you just learned how to be a person with ADD.
I used to work
instead of taking drugs, like you just
figured it out.
Your brain just figured out how to work your condition into your life.
Right.
But now it's like everything that's a little bit off, you're supposed to like.
Kids don't even have ADD and they're on fucking Ritalin.
Yeah,
you know, it's like, dude, I used to work with this guy who had a peanut allergy, but he was planning on going to the Air Force. So what he would do is that he'd slowly taught himself to wean off of a peanut allergy, and he would like it was like exposure therapy in a way where it got even it started by like being in perimeters around peanuts, and then slowly over time because you can't be in the Air Force if you have that, and I'm like, that's fucking badass.
Yeah, right? Like, can you imagine if you tried to do that now? Like, every doctor...
He did that. Like, this was, like, last year that I knew this kid. But
I thought you said it was a while ago.
This was, like, last year I knew this kid.
That's crazy.
This kid was, like, 18 years old. And I'm like, you're a tough motherfucker. Like, compared to, like, a lot of people, that's pretty fucking cool. Like,
yeah, like, I have to make myself not allergic to peanuts. I would just give up.
Yeah.
I would just be like, all right.
The third hives you get on your face.
You're like, all right, I'll stand in a room with a peanut today. Fuck that.
But I didn't even realize that until he told me that that's possible. Like, you can wean yourself off of these horrific food allergies.
Right, and your body can just develop a tolerance to them or a way to deal with them. It's kind of like how, like, if you have bad eyes, they say that if you obviously glasses will help you see perfectly. But they say that if you don't wear glasses, like, your eyes will at least maintain strength. Like it's better for your eyes to get practice trying to see by themselves than it is to give them a helping hand all the time. Because if you have to wear glasses constantly and then you lose your glasses, you just can't see shit. Yeah. But if you just have poor eyesight and you just say, fuck it, I'll just, like, deal with it, you'll have poor eyesight, but you'll see better than you would if you had to wear glasses all the time and then took them off. You know what I mean? Like, your eyes would be stronger naturally just from essentially having to exercise all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, all these things are things that our bodies have evolved to be able to deal with, and our society has taught us now to, like, stop those things in their tracks and just kind of let our bodies, like, not have to deal with them.
I'm just as guilty as this because oh shit,
Jesus, spilling everything. Yeah, classic Tom spill.
What's it called? I have bad allergies myself. I woke up and especially around this time of year when it gets cold out. Like, I woke up the other day, I was like, fuck, I need some Claritin. And I'm like, I can't imagine being in a trench in Poland in 1917.
Dude, I woke up.
I need some fucking Claritin right now.
Dude, every time I go to the gym, I come home and I'm like, ow, my back is hurting. Like, I have to stretch for like 60 seconds. Could you imagine if your back was like hurting and you were in like the trenches? Like, yeah. I'm just like, my back is hurting. It's like, yeah, well, whatever, dude. If you stand up for even 3 seconds, you're gonna die.
You ever watch those movies and people like literally will be carried off on a stretcher with like their feet missing or like their legs missing,
or literally just like, or they're like you could just see their entire rib cage and they're like, it's like,
and that's like you have to look at that shit all day.
You sit there with like a tub of ice cream on your lap. You're like, damn, that looks painful. And that's America.
That is honestly because that type of shit, we're so not used to something that's horrific, and that's a good thing, by the way. I'm not saying I'm not complaining. I'm not wishing for more.
No, I'm not saying that we should like have to. Like, I'm not saying we should experience more pain just to not be pussies.
But we look at that.
I'm just saying, like, the whole point of this is that Americans are not ready for the revolution that they're trying to prepare themselves with all this propaganda for, and like. We could try, but if we try now, we're like, A, we're not ready. B, I don't think it's justified yet. Like, I think we have to like at least try to like stop. I think you may say it's fighting an uphill battle, but like I think you should at least try to like recreate this shit from within,
right?
Before we burn it all, like
oh yeah, like change the foundations of how.
If there's anything I want to leave 2020 with, it's that. Like I think we should at least try to keep America from sinking like a ship before we just decide to poke more holes in the hull and then jump into lifeboats. Like,
well, change how the police academy is taught. I mean, like you said, I have this friend. One of my good friends is telling me like we need to have a revolution. Like he legitimately believes he's like a revolutionary.
Yeah,
he's like full on like we need to have
a
revolution.
Right?
And he was like we need to have a revolution. I'm like, dude, you're overweight. You're a chain smoker with like a smoker's cough. If you run 50 yards, you're out of breath.
Yeah,
what the fuck are you
going to revolt against the Marlboro Man?
What are you going to do? All they have to do is stand a reasonable distance from you, and you're fucking done. What do you...
Not even, they just have to hold their riot shield in front of you, and you'll run into it and break your nose.
You're just like, fuck. Like, you're like an...
Like, this is for George!
I need to just sit down for a while.
Yeah, right. Like
that's why people in other that's why Americans get their asses handed to them at the Olympics. That's why in fucking Usain Bolt is from Jamaica.
Yeah.
That's why the people at the front of the marathon are like from, you know, other countries and like Africa and because those people they have to deal with like real shit and they exercise and they're like fucking tough.
Right.
Like when we run a marathon, it's like a big deal when we finish a marathon.
Yeah, right? It's like, dude, I remember running a mile and people were like, how long did it take? And I was like, 7 minutes and 56 seconds, baby. I bet if you're like in any country that's not... It's all right, but if you're in any country that's not America, it's like, oh, so you could run a mile after eating a hot dog? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, big
like
fucking deal.
Like most like there's still a lot of countries in Europe where they just use bikes to get places. And they don't like drive. Like Americans are just we've developed this. Like it again. Like I know this is very boomer-esque, but we've just developed this kind of spoon-fed sedentary lifestyle where, you know. We used to be able to like deal with certain things, and now we're not. And to think you even have the capacity to revolt against this government that has, by the way, quite literally every resource at their disposal to keep you down. Like, you have a better chance just trying to vote the right people in. Like,
exactly.
You might as well just try to vote the right people in.
And that's the whole message. But I mean, I was in Italy a couple years ago, and everybody there rides mopeds, you know, and those are really cool. And so, but like, they would go through like these small alleyways, and we'd be walking. And they'd be like right by us. And I remember being like, oh my God, it's so loud. It's just like...
And all the Italians are like, what a fag.
It's just like, that's the way we react to that shit. And it's just like, we're just soft, man. Like, it's a big deal when people finish marathons. We're like, we were number 5,384 and we finished.
And it's like, could you believe I was the 688th person to pass the finish line? It's like, that was so great. It's like, what did we reward the smallest things. Like we're literally like people will put up a photo of themselves looking slightly thinner than they did like a year ago. People will be like, dude, how'd you get in such good shape? It's like I don't think he got in good shape yet. I think he's on the way. But like,
or even if they're not, even if they didn't even need to lose weight, like you ever see like an Instagram or a Facebook photo by like a really attractive woman. And she's like, I used to be embarrassed by my body, but now I am flaunting this figure.
It's like the fact that you were hot. Yeah, it's like you were embarrassed by being a 10, you cunt.
Like it's like, so what are you bragging about? The fact that like now you realize how hot you are? Like I don't like wow, what an accomplishment. You know, like you now know that people will jerk off to this photo. Isn't that great?
Yeah. Like it's like, yo, wow, you really I bet that gives you pride. And I'm really proud of your confidence.
Yeah, like how am I supposed to react? How is anybody else supposed to react to that? Like if you're like if you're like a really like unattractive woman, what are you supposed to say? Like, oh my God, you do you, honey. You know?
Yeah, right. Like if you're just like the most like you're literally just a cow person and like all you have to go on is your personality in the dating world and you see that. Are you supposed to be like, you know, you're very inspiring to me? Like, no.
Yas, queen.
The truth is, like, really, like, America has a lot of change. Like, we need to change our police system. We at least need to change the way our policemen are trained and what they're trained to do and how they're trained to, like, you know, how they're trained to enforce the law. We definitely do. there's definitely strong evidence that racism is strong in the United States, and we have to take some efforts to like fight it. But like, anybody who thinks that America is ready for a revolution right now is pretty much in denial, is kind of what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
And more just like that, I think all these changes can be achieved gradually if we just vote the right thing. Just fucking vote, man.
It's happened for like 300. I love how some people think like the people that are like, I don't vote because it's all a bunch of bullshit, man. They think they're like the first person to ever have that
I
thought.
know.
And they're like, they think they're so wise. It's like,
I saw this political art like a political cartoon in 4th grade or something. And it was one of the only things from like school that I still think resonates with me, where it's like, it was just a political cartoon of this sign that was talking about like, it was like a sign that says vote today. And this guy's like, why would I vote? I'm too busy worrying about clean air, safe roads, and like available water to worry about voting. And it's just like, well, all the things you're worried about are unattainable if you don't vote for the guy who's going to get them.
Yeah.
Like,
was that post like making fun of that guy?
Yeah, it was making fun of him. It was supposed to be saying like, oh, this guy's like, he wants clean air, he wants safe roads, he wants like a good world, but he doesn't want to vote. Like,
that's funny.
It's like,
That's a good
and I remember it was like 4th grade that we read that, and even back
people
then,
still believe that shit. Well, it's like it's
like, I'm too concerned about the government controlling me to want to vote for one of those assholes. It's like, well, if you never vote, the people who are controlling you are never going to lose power.
Well, it's also like people, will think they're very wise for like having the whole like they're all fucking idiots, and I honestly blame like
I still I think they're all idiots, but I still would vote for it because some of them are better than others. Like, I know a lot of people.
No, I'm saying the people that think that way are all idiots.
No, what I'm saying though is like even the politicians, yes, they're idiots. Like, but it's like you still have to vote for the ones who are slightly better, dude. Like,
yeah, I mean, honestly, I blame like
George
just because
kind of, it's kind of,
you know what I mean.
Fault,
and I love he is one
love
of
the man, but that's one thing where he may have come up a little short.
Well, it's not even if he believed that. It's just the fact that everybody like dick rides him, so they think that by thinking the same.
I don't
way,
even know if he
they're
believed
also a
that.
Genius.
I don't know if he believed that. I think he was lampooning something. I think he was trying to use his comedy to sort of lampoon those attitudes. Yeah. Because a lot of critics of Carlin at the time, people forget that, like, people forget this about all the deceased greats. Like, they all had their critics when they were alive. Like, and critics of Carlin would say that about him. Like, he's just this, like, centrist, like, because, yes, he was very democratic, but he would shit on liberals. Like, he has the whole environmental bit where he just makes fun of liberals and makes fun of environmentalism. So people would say, like, oh, he's very centrist, like, and I think he was just trying to lampoon that. He was trying to make fun of it and turn it up to 11. And people misinterpret it as, like, this modern philosopher is telling me that voting is pointless. It's like, no, it was all a joke. Yeah. Like, this is comedy. Like,
it was never meant, and I think what happened with that whole thing was, I think, also, like, he might have believed that, but he also might have just been, like, trying to get the most laughs, and sometimes you say things you don't believe just because it might be funnier. But what ends up happening now is people will have like a screenshot of George Carlin, but it's like a drawing of him, and they'll have like the quotes about him not voting. Yeah. And it's like, this is what I believe because he believed it.
And you also have to think about the time in American history when he wrote that, and who was poised for election. Yeah. Because it was George Bush versus Al Gore. Two guys who, at the time, yes, it was kind of like choosing between the same basic thing. Like,
well, Al Gore was poisoned because he was Clinton's vice president.
Exactly.
And like Bill Clinton, most people had a negative opinion of Clinton at the time because he was,
because of a lot of it is also because of the way he
I mean, America was doing well economically.
No, he was doing well, but it was more so just, like, I think the way Al Gore, like, a lot of Al Gore's, policy decisions. But regardless, at that time... I say. Well, now... No, but regardless, like, at the time, you can make the argument that it didn't matter who you voted for. Because you would listen to the two talk, and there's, like... There's actually a great music video from Rage Against the Machine where they show this, where it's like you can see Al Gore's just like, I support the death penalty, and George Bush is like, I support the death penalty. It was like, absolutely, we need to go overseas. Well, I think we should go overseas. It was like, there were a lot of things where it's like, are we even, like, does it even matter who we vote for? Right. But that was that era.
Yeah,
like people forget that the only reason those attitudes resonated is because of who was going to be elected at the time, and it was still important.
Yeah,
and it was still important who you voted for because
honestly,
the fact
if Al Gore was president, I don't think we would have went to Iraq.
Yeah, the fact is Al Gore got more popular votes. That was one of the first big election things where it was like, there's no way like he should have won. Blah blah blah.
Honestly,
and,
I think even
people act like it didn't matter who you voted for. It did.
It did. A lot of things would have changed if Gore was president.
Yeah.
But it's like the same people that will like post that picture of Bill Hicks talking about how life is like a ride.
Oh God.
It's like if I have to.
I almost hate Bill Hicks for that bit.
I do. If I have to hear all my college friends.
It's just a ride. It goes up and down and around and around. It's very loud. And people say, we can make money off this ride. Shut him up. Shut up. It's
not even a comedy bit. It's not even funny. Where am I supposed to laugh at this?
Bill Hicks has some funny shit, but he was not like
Bill Hicks gets.
I think the story of his life is more inspiring than his action. Because there's a great documentary called The American that follows his life and like how he got into comedy, like, because he lived in the middle of nowhere. He lived in, like, Texas, and there was just, like, nothing. I mean, think about it. Texas in the 70s. Yeah. Where the fuck are you going to do stand-up comedy? Like, and it's kind of cool how they, like, found their way to, like, come up and how they, like, you know, developed all these crazy ideas. And, that is inspiring. But, yeah, the whole Bill Hicks, like, philosophy thing, it's so outdated and tacky now.
Roll my eyes. You know, because it's just, like... I don't know why. You know what it is? It's like my
It's just one of those like
my friends in college used to be obsessed with that bit, and they would be like, "It's so deep, man." I'm like, "Is it though? Is it?" If everybody I don't know.
It's really not that deep. Like, life is a ride. It has ups and downs. It's like, yeah, it's a pretty simplistic view of everything that happens. Yeah. Like,
it's also
I actually like George Carlin's bit about life more, where he says his version is just. Life is not that complicated. What is life? You get up in the morning, you go to work, you come home, you take one good shit, and you go to bed. I think that's a lot better, like than the fucking life is a ride bit.
Like from my all-time favorite comment, I love Louis C.K.'s bit about how life is great.
I know how it's great. You can just jerk off in front of people even if they don't want you to. I love that.
Why do you always gotta make that?
You're like, why you always gotta hurt my man?
Why do you always gotta go?
Oh, there? Shut up! You know I love Louis. We saw him.
I know, but it's all. But the bit about him where he was like, the things that are great. Like, think about how lucky we are to be a person. Because it's like we could have been like an ant, and it's like we get to be on America.
Oh yeah, the food chain joke.
Yeah, like, we got out of the food chain.
We're out of the food chain.
And honestly, whenever I feel depressed, I think about that bit because I'm thinking about like how lucky I oftentimes feel grateful. I mean, think about not just the fact that we're people. Me and Tom Crescenzo are both white men.
I know, we're so lucky.
Like we really are. Like we live on Long Island.
Well, I mean, also not even that. Like I just like to think about the fact that we weren't born in like the beginning of humanity's. Like imagine if you were born in like 4000 BC.
Yeah, like this
shit just like
sucks.
Oh shit, like okay, so I have to open nuts with a rock, otherwise I starve to death. Like we're lucky that we were even born with houses around.
We were born with iPods.
Yeah, right.
Like we had them.
Dude, I was born and my biggest problem was that my dad didn't want to buy me a PlayStation.
Yeah,
like,
we literally have we have everything.
Like, could you imagine if you were born and your mom was like, go out to the well and get water from underground because otherwise we have no water to drink? Like, just the fact that we don't have to go to the well and get water. Like, we live in an insane time and people take it for granted. And it's all because of the way our culture, it's literally all because of culture. It's all because of how our culture has taught people.
About shit all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like everybody's unhappy. Everybody's snarky and fucking.
Even like I remember, I'll never forget this joke. What was this comedian's name? This guy named Chris Porter, who is not very well known. And truthfully, he's not that great. He has one album that's pretty good. And in the album, he's talking about how, like, I forgot that the concept of the joke was, I think it was just like, you're not interesting because you have a phone anymore. Like, why do you have a... Because at the time, like, that he made it, people still had phone cases. And it was like, why do you have a phone case? Like, I saw a homeless man with an iPhone the other day. It was a 3, but still, like... But it's, yeah, like, if you think about it, like, in this point there... Well, it's more just like, you know, like...
Maybe I'm...
I mean, like I said, the joke I'm butchering is, well, the joke was more about phone cases, like anybody who has a phone case where they keep their phone on their side, like it's a pistol. It's like, why do you have it? Like, nobody's interesting because they have a phone anymore. I saw a homeless guy with an iPhone. Like,
well, nobody's interesting in general.
But the point is more just like, think, like, if I'm trying to say with that joke is more, we live in a time in history where homeless people have smartphones.
Yeah.
People without homes have devices that are more advanced than the rocket that flew men to the moon. We live in the greatest time in American history, and everyone is being a bitch about it. Like,
oh yeah, and we're a bitch about we're a bitch about wearing a mask. Like that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, the mask. It's like, I don't want
to wear a mask to the groceries.
It's like, dude, you imagine if you were born before clothing was invented and you just had to be naked outside? You'd be thankful for any covering, faggot.
But like we're like, you know, we go to New York City to do comedy. It's like, have you ever noticed how and it could just be our perceptions because we don't live there. How people in New York City, they always just seem like they're so unhappy and angry about shit. It's like you live in a metropolitan paradise.
Yeah, you live in
like the greatest city in the world.
You live in one of the most romanticized locations on the planet.
And like, all you do is complain because you lost Twitter followers. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Just stop. Just stop.
We can go on and on. The point is, I think America has a lot of growing up to do, and 2020 has taught us nothing else. It's taught us that. It's taught us truly how immature of a nation we have always been.
But you know what? Honestly, I had a great year.
I did. I personally, this year was not, like, despite the obvious shit, I worked my ass off. Yeah. You know what I mean? I did a lot of comedy. Like, everything was very hard, and I definitely had serious periods of depression. Same. But I don't want to look back on any year in my life and think that this was a failure. And I don't consider 2020 a failure. I don't think anybody truly failed this year unless they allowed that to happen. And see, like, you can let yourself fail, but if you stay on top of shit, like, unless you have an extenuating circumstance, like, for the most part, even if you're struggling, if you stay on top of shit, you can still make the most of what you have.
And it's like, no, yeah, I mean, like, there are certain things that are beyond your control, but like for me, right, like, the beginning of this year was a year of changes, right? I was saying, like, I'm gonna quit smoking weed, I'm going to get a job, I'm going to start working, I'm going to do all these fucking things. And for 3 months I was like, fuck yeah, like this is a different kind of life. And then the pandemic hit and everything closed down and I'm like, wow, just my fucking luck, right? As soon as you feel like you want to change things, now a pandemic hits. So then I realized, like, okay, I was at a crossroads. I had a choice. I could either, you know, revert back to my old habits and be like, well, none of it matters anyway, we're in a fucking pandemic. Or I could be like, you know what, I'm going to double down and be like, fuck it, I don't give a shit. And I know I'm, like, sucking my own dick here, but, like, I chose to get my shit together.
If you want, I can suck your dick for you.
Well, we're going to do that after this. But I went back to grad school, and I'm happy with how this year turned out.
I mean, honestly, yeah, like, it's just, like, I think we all had that same sort of experience.
I never was in grad school. I went to grad school.
Yeah, you're in it. Yeah. Currently.
I never...
You have more to do, don't you?
Yeah, that was my first semester.
Yeah, you have a lot more. Yeah. Don't count yourself out. Yeah, but no, it's true. I think we all had a similar experience where it's like the beginning of 2020 started relatively promising, and then the pandemic, like, and that's how it was for me. Like, it was sort of a stagnant year. Like, in the beginning, like, I was smoking again. I was still my job, but I was starting to say to myself, like, let's start applying for new jobs. And I was actually starting to look for those jobs and go online and start looking. And I was starting to try to smoke less. And I was also starting to think about grad school and stuff like you. And I was thinking, like, this year I'm going to go to the city more and hit open mics more. And I'm just going to get more involved in the comedy scene. And I'm going to get more shows. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to start, like, coming up more as a comedian. Like, all this shit I had, like, planned, like, you know, and I was inspired. Like, it was inspiring. And I remember doing this show late February, like, right before the pandemic hit, like, at like Broadway Comedy Club or something, and it was one of the like the sign up ones, but still it was a great show, and like everyone I like destroyed. It was a huge crowd, and it was just like this is it, like this year's it's gonna like pick up, and then 3 weeks later everything was closed except for my shitty job that I hate, and
it's
I was
kind of
like,
funny in a way.
In a way, it's almost comedic as
you can look at it like, oh, this sucks, but you can look at it as like life has a funny, dark sense of humor.
Kind of.
You know what I mean?
It's
like
true.
It's like there's two ways. Like there really is like the two ways of looking at it, and like, it's like, yeah, you can see it as like, oh well, my life, I'm truly unlucky, or you'd be like, you motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Like if you saw that in a TV show, you would think it's funny.
Right. Or if you were watching a movie, you'd be like, man, no way. It's like, yeah. There's something in an objective way that's kind of interesting about it, and I hope it at least put hairs on everybody's chest, although probably resulted in a lot of suicides, but still, if you made it through the pandemic, Podcast Orange is happy for you.
And to next year is going to be better.
Yes.
Next year is going to be a great year.
Indeed. Maybe we'll do a New Year's Eve podcast. Maybe. I don't want to promise anything just in case we wind up like not doing that.
Maybe.
Could happen.
I'm down.
Could happen. Could be.
I don't see any reason why not.
But thank you guys for listening. This was a lot of fun. Next guest we have, whether it's New Year's Eve or 2021, is
Devin
going
Bramble.
to be Devin Bramble. Yes. And, I might, if I find the episode that Manny and us recorded, I'll upload that eventually.
We gotta steal
And
that.
I also have to find another episode that Jack did send to me, but I lost it. We're not doing that great over here with the episode organization, but we're back.
We're back.
Back in black.
We're here.
All right, 2020 recap. So, if you thought 2020 was a good year, feel free to comment or something.
R.I.P. Chadwick.
R.I.P. Chadwick. Podcast Orange. Also, one thing we forgot to mention. Kobe.
R.I.P. Kobe.
R.I.P. Kobe. I guess that's the last thing I'll say.
Also,
Also, R.I.P. like Ari Shafir's career. Like I don't know how much longer he's gonna be around.
somebody else died. There's probably been other people that died.
Eddie Van Halen. You know what? Let's do like an Oscars thing. Like who we lost. Eddie Van Halen. Sean Connery. Jeffrey Epstein.
RBG.
Oh yeah, Ruth Bader
Ginsburg.
Ruth Bader
Gonsberg.